I'm working at gradireland Group.
Senior editor in the Office of the House of the Oireachtas.
Assistant head of the School of Languages, Law and Society, and I'm in an acting position.
I work in IBEX, so that's the group that represents Irish business, and specifically I work in Financial Services Ireland.
Communications manager with the National Youth Council of Ireland.
1,400 employees. We have 48 nationalities, 29 languages, speaking 29 languages in the organisation.
Globally, of course, in a global marketplace, languages are hugely important for GLG everywhere, and specifically in the Dublin office, we work across the European market. So the main languages for us are French, German, Italian, Spanish and Russian. Of course, I suppose internally we speak English as a US-based company, but when we're dealing with the experts and our clients, it's very important to be able to communicate with them, to be able to build relationships with them, and therefore speak in a language that they can understand.
I'm in the operations department. I deal with general operations and requests, and I make up proposals, and also I deal with Eastern European market and mainly Russia.
There was an evening, I think 3 hours of these graduates coming in and telling us what they've been doing for the past 10 years, 20 years, whatever it might be. There were graduates from a long time ago and recent ones, and it was absolutely fascinating to see how many of them had gone into the business world and were being really successful, having had the fluency in one or more, often one or more languages.
I'd love to work in an international company where I could travel and use my language skills.
I would have thought, you know, very domestic focused, kind of very Irish, no need for the languages. What's interesting is that the vast majority of my work deals with international financial services.
Obviously, my knowledge of Russian or Ukrainian and English really helps in my daily work.
I learned languages, and thankfully I learned history and politics, and a fair bit of that was European Union, and that kind of developed with me doing internships into having technical skills of how the EU works, how to lobby the EU, who to talk to, how to follow when, you know, something like cap reform has been decided, how do you know where to look?
The clients worldwide could be the client, as I said, in Russia, could be in Ukraine, so it's really, you have to know their culture, the way, what works best for them, and adapt accordingly.
Languages are key in these areas being developed, would be the drinks, food, tourism, and the pharmaceutical and the engineering related sectors.
Just to have the language itself, but also to be able to apply it in practice, and so it's about having that practical skill that you can apply in the workforce. That's really what employers, I think, are looking for, so you need to concentrate on that and definitely build your skills in tandem. So the language and the theory, and then also the practice and how that's applied and used every day.
Make sure, if you're choosing courses and that, start with a language and something. So if you have a bit of a law background, do law and Italian or do law and French. If you're thinking of doing business, there's so many European jobs that they're looking for accountants, they're looking for auditors who have the 2 languages in English. If you're doing business, if you're doing engineering, have a technical skill, because languages alone, unless you're maybe doing translation or interpretation, will only get you so far.
Yes, we know that English is international and everybody speaks English. However, if you can speak to them in their own language, that's where you can win over somebody else who doesn't.
I think in many respects, languages are almost a prerequisite in the modern multilingual international workforce that we have. I mean, if you want to be a part of that, you do need a language.
There's 2 sets of employers. There are the employers who are very actively looking for graduates with language skills and high language fluency, and then there are the employers who maybe that is not the top priority, but graduates who are able to demonstrate that they have competency in the language are at an advantage in terms of gaining that employment.
You don't need to have native fluency and a local accent. Once you're confident speaking the language and you're able to communicate in a business setting, that's the level we need. So people don't need to be afraid that they're not 100% fluent. If you're confident with your level of the language, you're willing to learn more, and you're able to communicate well in business setting, that's great for us.
It's not a case of people who can understand possibly the customer and work something out, etc. They need to be able to converse with them in their native language.
They really actually appreciate if they have this close partner on the other side of the phone who can speak their language and can, understand what they want from you.